Casemiro wants to stay. He's convinced Ten Hag that he should stay. Ten Hag now wants Casemiro to stay, but INEOS forcing him out. What is the latest on Casemiro? Rumours and updates on Sancho's return, exit. What's INEOS' plan for Marcus Rashford rebuild? Is Bruno actually going to leave Man United, or is that nonsense speculation? Joshua Zirkzee has reportedly agreed terms, but should we believe the stories or not? More updates on the Ligt and Zirkzee. You know, the Ligt has essentially agreed terms from Fabrizio Romano. That will not be an issue, but what has been agreed with Joshua Zirkzee? Vivalan Wilcox are getting to work, and some of their plans have already been revealed. Latest on Luke Shaw's injury, Todibo blow, and other news. Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and this is your 10-minute football roundup. Throughout the transfer window, nearly every evening, I'm going to be doing a 10-minute roundup video, summing up all the news in 10 minutes for you guys that you need to know that's come out today. So let's start with the Casemiro story. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm not familiar with who the source is, but it's been shared around a little bit, so I'd say take this with a pinch of salt. Obviously, HITC, I know. The bottom story, that's more credible, but the one from Steve, I don't know who that is. But it's been shared around a bit. I've seen some other people speak about it, and I've seen a credible journalist as well retweet it. So let's have a look. Casemiro has spoken to Ten Hag and has expressed his desire to remain at the club, apologising for his poor performances last season. The player said he was dissatisfied with his performance and wants to make amends. Erik Ten Hag wants to keep Casemiro. He feels that a fit Lisandro Martinez and an informed Casemiro are key to his side next season. Now, I'm going to be honest, I think this could be true. Now, Ten Hag and Casemiro definitely had some kind of squabble around the FA Cup because Amrabat played over Casemiro. He wasn't happy. Casemiro left. He didn't leave on great terms, Casemiro, but he is a top professional. And we know that Ten Hag has really liked Casemiro because he was consistently playing Casemiro. He was underperforming for a while. Apparently, Casemiro has basically said to Ten Hag, I really want to stay. I'll apologise. Like, I'm sorry for my poor performances. He's really dissatisfied and he wants to make amends. Now, I do think that while Casemiro was bad last season, I do think the setup, the structure, the lack of support around him and the intense demands from Ten Hag did not help Casemiro. And he definitely has something to offer, but we need fresh legs in that midfield. And we need someone that's going to make Casemiro compete. Because I don't think Casemiro can go from having a brilliant season from Man United to falling off in the space of a couple of months. I just don't think, because he's fallen off massively. And I think he could have a much better season next year. But I think INEOS are looking at this, high wages. We've got the opportunity to move you on. We could get 30 million for you, save 20 million euro wages. We can put that on Agate and two fresh younger midfielders. I think INEOS are kind of looking at the long-term project and saying, I don't know if, staying with Casemiro is the smartest idea. And personally, myself, I think I would cut ways with Casemiro and invest in the long term because his performances last season weren't convincing. There's no point keeping him if he's going to perform like that next season. He was brilliant in his first season, but he wasn't good in the second season. He was on high wages. He's aging. We can invest that elsewhere. It was said by HITC that they understand that Casemiro's reps are in talks with Saudi Pro League clubs over a move to the Middle East, and Casemiro has been told he is sold to requirements at Old Trafford. And it's been sort of said that INEOS have made it clear to Casemiro, go, leave. We don't want you. You're not in our plans. It's been, the thing that's interesting is before Jim Ratcliffe, this story probably came out over a year ago, before Jim Ratcliffe was even confirmed as owner of United when we were being linked heavily to Qatar. There's a story that came out a year ago that Jim Ratcliffe, when he went and got a tour around Old Trafford as, just a potential buyer, he said to John Murty, criticised the decision of spending so much money on Casemiro and giving him such high wages at old age. He criticised them buying players from Real Madrid, and he was very critical. And I think Varane not getting a new contract, despite actually quite a good season when he played, again, was an example of, I don't think INEOS like the high-wage older players from Real Madrid coming in, and I think INEOS themselves definitely aren't the biggest fans of Casemiro, want him gone. I think the fact that he's had a poor season, I think if Casemiro had a really good season, I think INEOS would say it's not ideally what we'd have done, because last year when INEOS criticised Casemiro, he was off the back of a good season, but maybe they would have had more reason to keep him, but there probably would have been more offers coming in. I think INEOS want Casemiro gone. They know they can get money for Saudi. I don't think they rate Casemiro. I think Ten Hag is open to keeping Casemiro because of what him and Martinez did in his first season. He still rates Casemiro highly. I do think there was some strain in Ten Hag-Casemiro's relationship that needs to be sorted, but I do think there's some truth in these stories. Let me know your thoughts down below, and let me know what you do with Casemiro as well. Obviously, if we're going to sell Casemiro and not buy any new midfielders other than Agate, who we're going to buy regardless of what happens with Casemiro, then I'm not bothered. But the way I see it is, if you can sell Casemiro and bring Agate and Fofana in, I think that would be good business for the future. Let's talk about rumours of outing. So this first story about Bruno To Saudi, I personally don't believe, but it was said Bruno Fernandes's future at Manchester United is not guaranteed because of the potential offer present to the player and the club from Saudi Investment Fund is too good, but United hope and are planning to keep him at the club to fulfil Ten Hag's wishes. So I think Bruno will stay. I don't think Bruno is interested in going to Saudi. I think Bruno would leave Man United to win trophies. He wouldn't leave Man United for money. Like, Bruno knows that he can play for a Champions League side. Bruno knows he should be winning titles. He's that good. Why would he leave Man United for Saudi? I think he wants to leave Man United, or well, not wants to leave, but I think he explored the idea of leaving Man United because he wants to compete at the top. I don't think he wants to go to Saudi. So I personally would disregard that. It was said, despite speculation, Man United's primary focus at the moment is getting the best out of Marcus Rashford and getting him back to his best form. He's expected to stay at Old Trafford. And I've always said that. There's been a lot of news from 3 or 4 sources. Ligt was one of them, that Rashford could go. His agent is looking at moves elsewhere. PSG could express an interest. But I ultimately think Rashford will stay because there's 3 other wingers that INEOS want to get out the door first. Also, if INEOS are pursuing Joshua Zirkzee, then that is a player that would complement Marcus Rashford so well. Marcus Rashford is a sort of almost like a sort of a mix between a forward and a winger. He likes to come in. He likes someone that's going to provide that. Rashford's best form has sometimes been when he's linked up with Martial, and Zirkzee can mirror that. Zirkzee is the type of striker that isn't someone that needs service. He's almost the type of striker that provides service for his wingers, like Firmino did for Mane and Salah. So I think, bringing in Zirkzee is an example of, I think INEOS do believe in Marcus Rashford. He got 30 goals last season. Marcus Rashford last season got more goals and assists than, the best player in the world, player of the season, Phil Foden this season. And Marcus Rashford did it in a much worse team and scored a lot less goals. Whereas Phil Foden gets lower numbers than Rashford, who was playing on the wing most of the season in the same amount of minutes, and he's the best player in the world and he's the Premier League player of the season. But Marcus Rashford is trash just because he has a good season, bad season. Look, I understand the frustration with Rashford. He's not been good. The Belfast incident. I understand if 100 million comes in for Rashford, cashing in on him. But I also understand that INEOS saying, let's keep him, get the best out of him. Because if Marcus Rashford gets back to the form he was in Ten Hag's first season, there's an unbelievable player there that not many players at Man United since post Alex Ferguson could do that level. I think post Alex Ferguson, he's our top goal scorer. He's our most proficient winger. When we spent so much money on wingers, he's the only one that's really had a good season every now and then. But he does have bad seasons. But I would stick with Rashford. And it was said that Man United expects Sancho to report for pre-season training on Monday. It's unclear if he will participate in the senior squad sessions next week. So Sancho's expected to be back Monday, but he's going to have a conversation with Ten Hag, I assume. And I think if he apologises to Ten Hag, he's back in the squad. I think probably won't apologise to Ten Hag, and I think he'll be back training with the U4. I don't know what he'll be doing. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Sancho next week, because I can't see Sancho leaving Man United the next few days. I can see offers coming in for Greenwood. There has been 3 or 4 confirmed bids for Greenwood, so I can see Greenwood out the door, but no one's really making a move for Sancho at the moment. Talking of moves, there are 2 Manchester United deals that are reportedly close. Sky Sports said there's a growing feeling all parties want to get De Ligt to Manchester United done. It was also said by Court Offside that Manchester United have reached an agreement on personal terms with Joshua Zirzkee, and that Man United have made it clear, according to Sky Sports, that they will meet the 34 million release clause in Zirkzee's contract and are in discussions with his representatives over personal terms. So one source is saying personal terms is agreed, the other source is saying we're in talks over personal terms. Now, this morning, Romano said that Man United are favourites to sign Zirkzee. Now, a lot of sources have been saying the last week Man United are favourites to sign Zirkzee, and Romano kept saying he's got an agreement with AC Milan, they're still in the race, AC Milan are the favourites. All of a sudden, in the last 24 hours, Fabrizio Romano has switched from saying AC Milan are the favourites to Man United are the favourites. Court Offside is saying personal terms have been agreed. Other more reliable sources saying it's believed personal terms won't be a problem because Ten Hag's spoken to Zirkzee several times and Zirkzee wants to move. I would go with the second option. I don't know if personal terms have been agreed. Like, we know that De Ligt's personal terms have essentially been agreed because he's given the green light and say he will, although it's not officially agreed because Man United and Bayern need to agree. We know that personal terms with De Ligt is basically done. With Zirkzee, I think it's more of a discussion about it. Man United may want him to lower the wages. They want to know the agent's commission, but apparently Zirkzee wants United. We're willing to pay the release clause. Agent is willing to lower his commission for United. I expect this deal to progress. I think De Ligt will be the first signing. I think Zirkzee and Agati could be latter signings. And I think depending on sales, we'll look at left backs. We'll look at another second midfielder, wingers, second centre back, if I'm going to be honest. So let's go into the next story, which is on potential takeover changes. Ty Marshall said this: Christopher Vivell will be tasked with finding players to fit to Erik ten Hag's first team squad who are capable of playing the style the Dutchman is set to implement. He will also play a role in identifying younger players for United. Jason Wilcox is also tasked with working with Ten Hag and the first team coaches on implementing a clear style of play or game model, as Wilcox has termed it. So right now what's happening is Wilcox is implementing the game model, the style of play, and Vivell's going to work on recruitment to identify players that could suit that model, that style of play. They'll be reporting to Ashworth. Barada will be coming in next week, and I think that's quite exciting to finally see footballing people making decisions at Manchester United rather than Woodward in the past. And we will speak about that in more detail in my live stream tomorrow, so do subscribe for that. So let's talk about other news. Gareth Southgate said Luke Shaw is available, but Trippier has done an outstanding job for the team. Has Trippier done an outstanding job for the team? No. Is Southgate just saying that because he wants to be positive about his players? Yes. Does Southgate think that? Maybe. But Trippier's not been good. We need Luke Shaw back. Luke Shaw is available and he says ready to start, but I think he's ready for 30 minutes off the bench. I don't think you can be out that long and be ready to start. I worry if he starts, he'll get injured again, and then he'll miss part of our season. So I'd almost rather Luke Shaw not play, even though I think he could do a better job than Trippier, because I don't want him to miss our season. It was also said that UEFA confirms that Man United and Nice can both play in the Europa League. UEFA says Man United and Nice and Man City and Girona will not transfer players to each other, whether permanently or on loan, directly or indirectly, from July 2024 until September 2025, with the exception of pre-existing transfer agreements. If only we went and got Todibo in January. If only we went and spent some money in January, when we had all those centre-backs injured in January, when we had that big crisis in January. If only we brought in Todibo, eh? Hey, because then we could have got that deal done. Man City found loopholes because their players that the players that they brought in from Girona were actually players at the other club Troyes that they loaned to Girona and then brought, because Man City are doing it with their other clubs and then loaning them to Girona. They're finding loopholes, but unfortunately, we can't do anything, eh? It's annoying, it's a stupid rule, it's a sucky rule, because we were interested in Todibo last season and in January. We were just waiting for this summer because of FFP, and we were literally going to buy Todibo for a fair price, and I don't understand how us buying Todibo from Nice makes a difference because we're in the same competition. I think it's silly, and I think if, Chelsea probably would have found a loophole around it by now. I don't think we are, which is sad and annoying, but if we can get Ligt and a good left centre back in, happy days. Let me know your thoughts down below on all the news. Please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.